The phone rang at 7:30 on Christmas Eve morning while I was hanging the last ornament on my tree. Madison's voice sounded strange, breathless, like she'd been crying. "Elliot, I need you to sit down. Grandmother Betty had another episode last night. Her blood pressure spiked, and the doctors think the stress of hosting Christmas might be too much. We had to make a quick decision." My coffee mug froze halfway to my lips. "What kind of decision?" "We moved Christmas to the mountain lodge in Colorado. I know it's far, but we need to be together as a family. Can you drive up tonight?" I stared at my reflection in the bathroom mirror after hanging up with Madison. 32 years old, dark circles under my eyes, from too many late nights coding stubble I'd planned to shave before Christmas dinner. The divorce had aged me. 8 months since Sarah moved out, taking half our furniture and most of my confidence with her. This Christmas was supposed to be my fresh start, my chance to reconnect with family after a year of feeling like an outsider at every gathering. I threw my suitcase open on the unmade bed, tossing in sweaters, jeans, and the red flannel shirt Mom bought me 3 Christmases ago. The handmade cookies I'd spent 4 hours baking the night before went into a sealed container. Grandmother Betty's favorites, snickerdoodles with extra cinnamon, just like she taught me when I was 8 years old. She always said my cookies reminded her of her late husband's, my grandfather, I never got to meet. The drive from Kansas City to Pine Ridge, Colorado stretched 540 miles across 3 states. I'd calculated the route twice, knowing the mountain roads would be treacherous in December. But Madison sounded so scared, so desperate for family unity during Grandmother Betty's health scare. How could I say no? My Honda Civic groaned as I loaded it with presents I'd wrapped weeks ago. Each gift chosen carefully on my software engineer's budget, already tight after divorce attorneys and splitting assets. Madison's art supplies because she'd started painting again. Marcus's vintage vinyl record he'd mentioned wanting. Mom's cashmere scarf from the boutique she always admired but claimed was too expensive. Dad's leather-bound journal for his retirement writing project. The interstate stretched endlessly under gray December skies. Snow began falling around Topeka light flakes that danced across my windshield like tiny stars. By Kansas's border with Colorado, the storm had intensified into a full blizzard. My hands cramped around the steering wheel as I navigated icy curves 18-wheelers crawling past in the right lane. Radio stations faded in and out Christmas carols mixing with weather warnings. I called Madison twice during gas stops, but her phone went straight to voicemail. Same with Marcus' mom and dad. Probably busy making arrangements at the lodge, I reasoned. Mountain cell service could be spotty anyway. Hours blurred together. Energy drinks and truck stop coffee kept me alert as the clock crept past midnight, then 2 a.m., then 4. Christmas morning was arriving whether I was ready or not. The landscape transformed from flat Kansas plains to rolling hills, then dramatic mountain slopes covered in pristine snow. Pine Ridge Lodge sat nestled in a valley between 2 peaks, exactly where Madison's directions indicated. I pulled into the circular driveway as dawn painted the mountains in shades of rose and gold. The lodge looked like something from a Christmas movie log cabin architecture stretched across multiple buildings, smoke rising from stone chimneys, wraparound porches decorated with garland and twinkling lights. Beautiful, peaceful, and completely empty. No family cars in the parking lot. No sounds of children playing or adults chatting over coffee. The lobby windows showed darkened spaces beyond, not the warm glow of family gathered around a Christmas tree. My boots crunched through fresh snow as I approached the main entrance gift bags, hanging from both arms cookie container, balanced carefully in my hands. The massive wooden doors opened into a lobby that belonged in an upscale mountain resort. Vaulted ceilings with exposed beams, a river rock fireplace large enough to stand inside leather furniture arranged in conversational clusters. and absolutely no sign of the Collins family Christmas gathering. "Can I help you?" A young man emerged from behind the reception desk, his name tag reading Kevin Guest Services. He looked maybe 25, with the healthy tan of someone who spent his free time skiing. "I'm looking for the Collins family Christmas party," I said, setting down my bags. "My sister Madison called yesterday about our reservation." Kevin's fingers flew across his computer keyboard, then his brow furrowed. Collins. I have a small reservation under that name, but it's marked as canceled. When was this supposed to start?" "This morning, Christmas Day. My whole family should be here by now." Kevin's expression shifted from professional courtesy to genuine concern. "Sir, I'm really sorry, but there's no active Collins family reservation in our system. The canceled one was just for a standard room, not an event space." My stomach dropped. "That can't be right. Madison said she booked the lodge for our Christmas celebration. My grandmother is sick, and we needed somewhere special for the family to gather." Kevin clicked through several screens, his silence stretching uncomfortably long. Finally, he looked up with confusion written across his face. "Mr. Collins, I need to show you something. There are actually 2 reservations in our system today, involving your last name." He turned his monitor toward me. "This small one under Collins family was canceled yesterday afternoon, but there's another event today, a much larger one." His finger traced across the screen. 50-person celebration premium catering package, live band, professional photography, luxury guest accommodations. The blood drained from my face as I read the name on the contract. Elliot Collins. My own name stared back at me from a booking I'd never made for an event I'd never planned, totaling $18,000 charged to credit card information I'd never provided. Kevin's voice sounded distant as he continued explaining. "The signature on file matches the name perfectly. Full payment was processed last week, and all vendors are scheduled to arrive at noon for a 2 p.m. event start." I gripped the reception desk to steady myself. "I never made this reservation. I've never seen this contract before in my life." But Kevin was already pulling up additional screens, showing detailed specifications I'd never requested: premium wine selection, ski equipment rentals for 15 people, spa services, even special dietary accommodations. Someone had used my identity to book their perfect Christmas celebration while sending me on a wild goose chase 540 miles away. Someone in my family had forged my signature, stolen my financial information, and was planning to stick me with an enormous bill while celebrating Christmas without me. My hands shook as I scrolled through my phone, calling each family member again. Voicemail. 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 The lodge lobby felt like it was spinning around me, Kevin watching with growing sympathy as the magnitude of the situation became clear. Finally, Marcus answered on the 6th ring. "Elliot, dude, what's up?" His voice was cheerful, casual, completely unburdened by guilt. I could hear music in the background, laughter, the unmistakable sounds of a party in full swing. "Marcus, I'm at Pine Ridge Lodge in Colorado. Where is everyone? Madison said Christmas was moved here because of grandmother Betty's health scare." A pause. Then Marcus laughed, actually laughed. "Oh man, Elliot, yeah, about that. I'm going to be straight with you because you're my brother and all. Christmas wasn't moved to Colorado. We're all here at Madison's house in Overland Park having our regular Christmas gathering. The whole Colorado thing was kind of my idea." The lobby floor felt like it was tilting beneath my feet. "What do you mean, your idea?" "Look, there's this girl, Jessica. She works with Madison's business partner, and she's been asking about you for months. Really sweet girl, but she's super shy. Madison thought it would be cute to introduce you two today, but the family decided it might be awkward with you being all recently divorced and depressed and stuff." Depressed and stuff. The casual cruelty of those words hit me like a physical blow. "So instead of just telling me about Jessica, you sent me on a 10-hour drive to the middle of nowhere. I mean, when you put it like that, it sounds harsh. But think about it, Elliot. You've been kind of a downer lately. Sarah really did a number on you, and you bring that negative energy to family stuff. Jessica is this bubbly, optimistic person, and we thought mixing those vibes might make things uncomfortable for everyone. I could hear more voices in the background now. Mom's distinctive laugh, Dad's booming voice telling a story, the clatter of dishes and silverware. They were all there sharing Christmas morning exactly as we had for 32 years of my life, except this year they deliberately excluded me. Marcus, I need you to understand something. I drove all night through a blizzard. I spent money I don't have on gas and presents. I'm standing in an empty lodge in Colorado on Christmas morning because my family lied to me. Elliot, come on, don't be so dramatic. Just drive back. We'll probably still be here when you get home. Christmas dinner isn't until 3. Something in his tone, the easy dismissal, triggered a deeper realization. Whose voice is that in the background? The woman talking to Madison. Another pause, longer this time. What woman? Marcus, I can hear her. She sounds familiar. Look, Elliot, you're being paranoid. There are a lot of people here. But I knew that laugh. 8 months of marriage, 2 years of dating before that. I'd heard that laugh across dinner tables at movie theaters during family gatherings, when she was still part of the Collins clan. Is Sarah there? Elliot, is my ex-wife at the family Christmas gathering that I was deliberately excluded from? Marcus's sigh carried the weight of his defeat. Madison invited her. They've become really close friends since the divorce. Sarah's been helping Madison with her new art business, giving her marketing advice and stuff. It's not personal, Elliot. It's just business. The phone nearly slipped from my hands. Not only had my family conspired to exclude me from Christmas, they'd replaced me with the woman who destroyed my confidence and left me questioning my worth as a partner. They'd chosen Sarah over me. How long has this been planned, Marcus? What do you mean? The lie about grandmother Betty. The Colorado story. How long have you all been coordinating this? Elliot, you're making this into something bigger than it is. Answer me, how long? Another burst of laughter from the party. Someone was opening presents, probably sitting in the spot around the tree that had been mine since childhood. A couple of weeks, I guess. Madison suggested it when Sarah mentioned she was going to be alone for Christmas. We thought it would be nice to include her, but weird to have both of you there. So we came up with the Colorado thing as a gentle way to give you something else to do. 2 weeks. They'd spent 2 weeks planning my exclusion, crafting the perfect story to manipulate my emotions and send me away. The sick grandmother was a complete fabrication designed to trigger my guilt and compliance. And you're all okay with this? Mom, Dad, Madison, grandmother, Betty. Everyone agreed to lie to me. Elliot, honestly, you're being way too sensitive about this. It's not like we don't love you. We just wanted to keep Christmas drama-free this year. I ended the call without another word, staring at Kevin, who had clearly overheard enough to understand the basics of my situation. I'm really sorry, he said quietly. Family stuff during the holidays can be complicated. Complicated, as if systematic deception and financial fraud were merely complicated. But there was one more piece to this puzzle. Someone had booked this elaborate event under my name. Someone had access to my financial information and forged my signature. The Colorado story wasn't just about excluding me from Christmas. It was about positioning me to take responsibility for an $18,000 bill while my family celebrated 540 miles away. I stood in the middle of Pine Ridge Lodge's lobby, surrounded by rustic luxury I'd never chosen and couldn't afford, while the full scope of my family's betrayal crystallized like frost on the windows. Kevin had quietly retreated to give me space, but I could see him making notes on his computer, probably documenting the situation for his managers. Kevin, I need to understand exactly what was booked under my name, I said, approaching the reception desk again. Everything, every service, every charge, every detail. He hesitated. Sir, I can share the basic information, but some of this gets into detailed financial data that I'm not supposed to. Kevin, someone committed fraud using my identity. I need to know what I'm dealing with so I can figure out how to protect myself. That changed his demeanor completely. Okay, let me print everything out for you. The pages that emerged from the printer told a story of calculated deception that went far beyond a simple Christmas prank. The event contract showed my forged signature authorizing premium catering for 50 people with specialty dietary accommodations for gluten sensitivity and shellfish allergies, 7-course dinner with wine pairings, open bar service, and a custom dessert station featuring French pastries and imported chocolates. Live entertainment package including a 4-piece jazz band, professional DJ equipment, and a dance floor installation in the lodge's main hall. Photography and videography services with a 3-person crew for full event documentation, including family portraits and candid celebration shots. Luxury guest accommodations in 12 premium suites for overnight stays, including spa services, room service breakfast, and champagne welcome packages. Recreational activities package featuring guided snowshoe tours, hot tub reservations, and equipment rentals for skiing and snowboarding. The total came to $18,467, all charged to a credit card number that matched my account exactly. Skoitu. Kevin, how did whoever made this reservation get my credit card information? It was provided over the phone when the initial booking was made 3 weeks ago. The caller claimed to be Elliot Collins and had all the necessary verification information, full name, address, phone number, card number, security code, everything. My mind raced through possibilities. Who in my family had access to my financial information? The answer hit me like a physical blow. Last summer, when Madison was going through her messy breakup and needed emergency help with her rent, I'd given her my credit card information to cover her utilities while she got back on her feet. I'd trusted her completely, never thinking to change my account numbers after helping her. The person who made this booking, was it a man or woman? Kevin checked his notes. My colleague took the call, but the notes indicate it was a woman claiming to be Elliot Collins's personal assistant. She said you were too busy with work to call directly, but had authorized her to handle all arrangements. Madison, my sister, had used my generosity against me, leveraging the trust I'd given her during her crisis to set up this elaborate deception. Kevin, I need to call the credit card company immediately. This is identity theft. But as I dialed the number on the back of my card, another realization struck me. The event was supposed to start at 2 p.m. If I canceled everything now, there would be massive cancellation fees for the vendors, the band, the catering staff, who were probably already preparing food. The financial damage might be just as severe whether the event happened or not. The credit card representative confirmed my worst fears. Mr. Collins, I show the charges you're referring to, but they were authorized with correct account information and security verification. Without evidence of unauthorized use, we can't reverse the charges immediately. You'll need to file a formal fraud report with documentation. After hanging up, I stared at the contract pages scattered across Kevin's desk. But there was something else, something that didn't fit the pattern. Kevin, this event package includes some very specific details. Gluten-free accommodations, professional photography, overnight suites for 12 people. Those aren't random selections. He nodded. The caller was extremely detailed about requirements. She mentioned it was a surprise celebration for a family milestone, something about an important announcement that needed to be documented professionally. A surprise celebration, an important announcement. What kind of announcement? She specifically requested champagne service for toasts and asked that the photography team be prepared for a special moment during dinner. She also booked the honeymoon suite, specifically saying it might be needed for the guests of honor. The pieces clicked into place with horrible clarity. This wasn't just about excluding me from Christmas and sticking me with a massive bill. Someone in my family was planning to announce an engagement or a pregnancy or some other major life milestone. They'd deliberately planned their celebration for Christmas Day, used my money to pay for it, and sent me away so I wouldn't interfere with their special moment. The cruelty of it was breathtaking. Not only had they excluded me from the family Christmas I'd treasured my entire life, They'd stolen my financial security to celebrate life events they didn't want to share with me. But as I sat in the lobby of Pine Ridge Lodge, surrounded by evidence of their betrayal, something began to shift inside me. The hurt and confusion were still there, but underneath them a different emotion was growing. Anger. Not the explosive kind that burns out quickly, but the cold, calculating anger that demands justice. Kevin was watching me carefully. "Sir, what do you want to do about the event? The vendors are scheduled to arrive in a few hours." I looked at him then, at the contract with my forged signature, then at the phone that had delivered my family's casual dismissal of my feelings and financial security. "Kevin, I need to ask you something important. As the person whose name is on this contract, who has legal authority over how this event proceeds." He checked his computer screen. "You do, sir. You're listed as the primary contact and financial responsible party. All vendor communications are supposed to go through you. And if I wanted to make changes to the event details, add requirements, or modify the arrangements, as long as the core services remain the same, you can adjust most details without additional fees. You're the client." I picked up the contract and studied it again, but now I was seeing it differently. This wasn't just evidence of my family's betrayal. It was a tool I could use to teach them a lesson about consequences. My family had planned to celebrate their special announcement using my money while keeping me miles away from the joy they didn't want to share. But they'd made one crucial mistake. They'd put me in complete control of their perfect celebration. I spent the next hour systematically contacting every vendor listed on the contract, ostensibly to confirm arrangements, but actually to understand exactly what my family had planned for their secret celebration. Each conversation revealed another layer of their deception. The caterer, Maria Santos from Elevated Mountain Cuisine, had fascinating details about the menu selection. "Your assistant was very specific about the dietary needs, Mr. Collins. She mentioned someone named Sarah needs gluten-free options, and a Marcus requested the bourbon-glazed prime rib specifically. She also emphasized that this celebration was extremely important to your family, something about multiple announcements that needed to go perfectly." Multiple announcements? Not just one special moment, but several. Maria did my assistant mention what kind of announcements these were? "Oh yes, she was so excited about it. Something about a business launch and a relationship milestone happening on the same day. She said Christmas would never be the same for your family after today." The photographer David Chen from Mountain Memories Photography had even more specific information. "Your sister Madison called me directly last week to coordinate the shot list. She wanted formal family portraits, but also candid shots during what she called the big reveals. She specifically requested couple shots for someone named Marcus and his girlfriend, and business partnership photos for herself, and someone named Sarah. Business partnership photos. Madison and Sarah had formed a business partnership, and they were announcing it at a celebration funded by the husband Sarah had divorced 8 months ago. David, did Madison mention anything about the family dynamics for this shoot? Actually, yes. She said it was a smaller, intimate family gathering, much better than your usual chaotic Christmas celebrations. She seemed relieved about keeping the group size manageable for better photo opportunities. The band leader James Morrison provided the final piece of the puzzle. "Man, your family's celebration sounds amazing. Madison called to confirm song requests and mentioned this was going to be the best Christmas your family ever had. She specifically requested music for dancing after dinner because people were going to be in such a celebratory mood after the announcements." What kind of announcements was she expecting? She was being a bit coy about it, but she mentioned something about new beginnings, business ventures, and romantic milestones all happening at once. She said it was like all the good things in your family's life were coming together on Christmas Day. I hung up and stared at Kevin, who had been listening to my conversations with growing sympathy and amazement. "Let me get this straight," I said slowly. "My family sent me away so they could use my money to celebrate my sister going into business with my ex-wife, Probably my brother getting engaged and who knows what other milestones they didn't want to share with me. Kevin shook his head. That's beyond just hurtful, Mr. Collins. That's calculated. But there was still one more call I needed to make. I dialed my cousin Rachel, the one family member who'd always been straight with me, hoping she might be an ally or at least willing to tell me the truth. Rachel, it's Elliot. Are you at Madison's Christmas gathering? Elliot. Oh my God, where are you? Everyone's been wondering if you made it to Colorado safely. So you all know about the Colorado lie. A long pause. Elliot, what are you talking about? Rachel. I'm standing in an empty lodge in Colorado that someone booked under my name for $18,000. I found out the whole family is actually at Madison's house, celebrating Christmas with my ex-wife. How much of this did you know about? Highway. Another pause, longer this time. Then Rachel's voice, smaller and guilty. Elliot, I thought you knew about the change of plans. Madison told me you'd decided you wanted some space this Christmas and preferred to spend it alone. She told you I chose this. She said you called her Wednesday night and said you needed time to process the divorce and didn't feel ready for big family gatherings yet. She made it sound like the Colorado thing was your idea, like you wanted to get away and think. The depth of Madison's manipulation was staggering. She hadn't just lied to me. She'd crafted a completely different story for each family member, making everyone think I'd chosen to exclude myself. Rachel, did Madison mention anything about announcements or special celebrations today? Actually, yes. She said Sarah had some big news about her new business venture, and Marcus was planning to announce his engagement to Jennifer. She said it would be perfect timing to celebrate new beginnings. And nobody thought to include me in these family milestones. Rachel's silence stretched uncomfortably. Finally, Elliot, Madison said you were still too raw from the divorce to handle celebration stuff, especially with Sarah being involved in the business announcement. She said it would be kinder to let you have space, rather than force you to pretend to be happy. Did anyone ask me what I wanted? Madison said she talked to you about it. Rachel, Madison never talked to me about anything. She fabricated a story about grandmother Betty being sick and manipulated me into driving to Colorado so the family could celebrate milestones with my ex-wife using money stolen from my credit card. I heard Rachel drop something, probably her coffee cup. Elliot, that can't be right. Madison wouldn't. I'm holding an $18,000 event contract with my forged signature. Madison used the credit card information I gave her during her emergency last summer. She booked everything under my name while sending me away. Oh my God, Elliot, I had no idea. We all thought. Madison made it sound like I was the problem, like I was too damaged to handle family happiness. I'm so sorry. If I'd known the truth, I never would have gone along with this. But even Rachel's apology couldn't undo the systematic deception my family had orchestrated. They'd created an elaborate web of lies with each person receiving just enough information to justify excluding me, while never revealing the full scope of their betrayal. As I ended the call with Rachel, Kevin approached with a concerned expression. Mr. Collins, I hate to interrupt, but I just received several calls from your event vendors. Apparently, someone else has been contacting them this morning claiming the event is canceled, and they should leave. My blood ran cold. Someone else? A woman claiming to be your assistant again. She told the catering company there was a family emergency, and they should stop food preparation immediately. The photographer got the same call. My family had discovered I was at the lodge. Somehow they'd realized their deception was unraveling, and they were trying to cancel the services to avoid the confrontation that was coming. But they'd made another crucial mistake. I was the actual client, the one whose name was on every contract, and whose money was funding their perfect celebration. And I was about to teach them that actions have consequences. Kevin, please call all the vendors back and confirm that the event is proceeding exactly as planned. Tell them any cancellation calls they receive should be ignored unless they come directly from me. Yes, sir. What else can I do to help? I looked at my watch. 11:30 a.m. The vendors would arrive soon, and my family's celebration was scheduled to start at 2 p.m. but they thought they were safe at Madison's house 540 miles away, celebrating with Sarah while believing they'd successfully sent me on a wild goose chase. They were about to discover how wrong they were. "Kevin, I need to make one more call. Then I'm going to need your help coordinating the most important family gathering of my life." I found a quiet corner of the lodge lobby and dialed Madison's number. She answered on the second ring, her voice bright with fake concern. "Elliot, we've all been so worried about you. How's the drive going? Did you make it to Colorado safely?" "Madison, I need you to be honest with me about something." "Of course, what's wrong? You sound stressed." "I'm at Pine Ridge Lodge. The lobby is empty. There's no Collins family Christmas gathering here." A pause, then a nervous laugh. "That's weird. Maybe you have the wrong lodge. Mountain places can be confusing to find." "Madison, I have a contract here with my name and signature on it for an $18,000 Christmas celebration. The signature I never wrote using credit card information I never provided for an event I never booked." The silence stretched so long I thought she'd hung up. "Madison?" "Elliot, I can explain." "I'm sure you can. But first I need you to stop calling the vendors trying to cancel services. I'm the client on these contracts, and the event is proceeding as planned." "Elliot, please don't do anything crazy. We can work this out. Here's what's going to happen, Madison. You and Marcus and Mom and Dad and Sarah are going to drive to Pine Ridge Lodge. You're going to attend the Christmas celebration you planned, and that I paid for. And we're going to have the family conversation that should have happened weeks ago." "Elliot, that's insane. We can't just drop everything and drive to Colorado." "Why not? I did." Another long pause. I could hear muffled conversation in the background, probably Madison explaining the situation to the family. "Elliot, what do you want from us?" "I want my family to attend the celebration they booked under my name. I want to hear these announcements you've been planning. And I want to understand how the people who claim to love me thought it was acceptable to commit financial fraud and emotional manipulation. We never meant to hurt you. Madison, you forged my signature and stole $18,000. You lied to every family member about my involvement. You replaced me at Christmas with my ex-wife. If this wasn't meant to hurt me, what exactly was it meant to do? We thought you'd never find out. The plan was to pay back the money, gradually make it look like business expenses or something. And you've been so depressed since the divorce, we honestly believed you might prefer to spend Christmas alone." The casual cruelty in her words hit me again. "So you made that decision for me without asking what I actually wanted." "Elliot, please. We're family. We love you. This got out of hand, but we can fix it." "Good. Start driving. Pine Ridge Lodge, Colorado. The party starts at 2 p.m. "Elliot, it's an 8-hour drive from here. We can't possibly." "Madison, I drove 10 hours through a blizzard on Christmas Eve because you told me Grandmother Betty was dying. You can drive 8 hours to attend the celebration you planned with my money." "What if we don't come?" I looked at Kevin, who was coordinating with arriving vendors, setting up my family's perfect Christmas celebration in the main hall. "Then you'll miss the announcements you were so excited about, the professional photography you booked, the 7-course dinner you ordered, the jazz band you hired. All of it will happen exactly as you planned, just without the guests of honor." "Elliot, that's wasteful and vindictive." "Madison, I spent 8 months listening to family members tell me I needed to get over my divorce and move on with my life. I spent 10 hours driving through dangerous weather because you manipulated my emotions with lies. I'm standing in a lodge I can't afford holding contracts I never signed, missing the family Christmas I've treasured for 32 years. Don't lecture me about being vindictive." I could hear more conversation in the background. Marcus's voice raised and angry. Mom trying to mediate. Dad demanding to know what was happening. "Madison put me on speaker. I want to talk to everyone." "Elliot, maybe we should..." "Put me on speaker." A moment later, the familiar voices of my family filled the phone. Mom spoke first. "Elliot, honey, we need to work this out calmly. There's been a misunderstanding." "Hi, Mom. I love you, but there's been no misunderstanding. There's been fraud, deception, and financial theft. But the good news is we can resolve all of this today." Dad's voice stern and uncomfortable. Elliot's son Madison explained about the booking mix-up. We'll figure out the money situation, but you need to be reasonable about Christmas Day logistics." "I am being reasonable, Dad. I'm asking my family to attend the Christmas celebration they planned. All of you, including Sarah, since she's apparently part of the family announcements." Marcus jumped in, his tone defensive. "Elliot, you're being ridiculous. We're not driving 8 hours on Christmas Day because you're having a temper tantrum." "Marcus, you told me I was too much of a downer to include in family celebrations. Here's your chance to prove that family gatherings are better without me. Don't come. See how much fun you have knowing I'm at the lodge you booked, eating the food you ordered, listening to the band you hired, while you explain to everyone why you're not here." "Elliot, you're being manipulative," Madison said. "I'm being clear about consequences. For 32 years, I've shown up for this family. I've helped with emergencies, listened to problems, contributed to solutions, and prioritized all of you over my own comfort. Yesterday, you decided I was disposable. Today, you get to live with that decision." The background conversation grew heated. I could hear Sarah's voice joining the mix, though I couldn't make out her words. "Elliot." Mom said again, "What do you really want from us?" "I want honesty, Mom. I want accountability. I want to understand how the family that raised me to value truth and loyalty decided it was acceptable to lie to me, steal from me, and exclude me from the most important family day of the year." "And if we drive to Colorado? Then we'll have Christmas dinner together, you'll make your announcements, we'll take family photos, and we'll figure out how to move forward as a family that tells the truth to each other." A long pause filled with muffled family conference. Finally, Madison came back on the line. "Elliot, we need 2 hours to pack and get organized. We'll leave by noon and drive straight through. The party starts at 2 p.m. We'll be late, but we'll be there." "Madison, bring Sarah. She's part of whatever you're announcing, so she should be part of the conversation about how this family treats people." "Elliot." 2 p.m. Madison, Pine Ridge Lodge. Don't make me wait for you again." I hung up and turned to Kevin, who was directing the setup crew with remarkable efficiency. "Kevin, my family is driving from Kansas. They'll arrive around 8 p.m. Can we adjust the timeline to accommodate late arrivals?" "Absolutely. We can serve appetizers and cocktails when they arrive, then transition to dinner around 9. The band can play background music until everyone's ready for the full celebration." "Perfect. And Kevin, when they arrive, they're going to be tired, stressed, and probably angry. But this event is going to proceed exactly as they planned it. Every detail, every service, every moment they thought they'd enjoy without me." Kevin smiled, the first genuine smile I'd seen from him all day. "Mr. Collins, I have to say I've worked a lot of family events over the years. This one's going to be memorable." I looked around the main hall where the catering staff was setting up elegant table arrangements and the band was doing sound checks. The photographer was testing lighting angles, and the lodge staff was preparing the luxury suites my family would sleep in tonight. Everything was perfect. Everything was exactly what Madison had ordered when she thought she was planning a celebration I'd never see. The only difference was that I'd be there to enjoy it with them, whether they wanted me there or not. The next 6 hours transformed Pine Ridge Lodge into exactly the winter wonderland Christmas celebration my family had envisioned. Maria Santos and her catering team created a feast that filled the main hall with aromas of rosemary-crusted lamb, bourbon-glazed prime rib, and French pastries that looked like edible art. The jazz quartet played softly near the fireplace, their music mixing with the crackling logs and gentle snowfall visible through the floor-to-ceiling windows. David Chen positioned lighting equipment to capture the warm glow of Edison bulb chandeliers against exposed wooden beams. The Long family table was set for 12 people, with white linens, evergreen centerpieces, and gold charger plates that reflected the firelight. Everything Madison had selected, every detail she'd specified, was executed flawlessly. By 7 p.m., I was showered, dressed in the red flannel shirt Mom had given me, and sitting in the lobby with a glass of the premium whiskey my family had ordered. Kevin provided updates on traffic conditions, confirming that a convoy of 3 vehicles with Kansas plates had passed through the mountain checkpoint about an hour out. At 8:15, headlights swept across the lodge parking lot. I watched through the lobby windows as familiar figures emerged from their cars. Mom and Dad from their silver SUV, Marcus and his girlfriend Jennifer from his pickup truck, Madison from her sedan. And from the third car, Sarah stepped into the Colorado snow, wearing the winter coat I'd bought her last Christmas. They stood in the parking lot for several minutes, clearly having a heated family conference before approaching the lodge. Their voices carried across the still mountain air, but I couldn't make out the words. Finally, Madison led the group toward the main entrance. The lodge doors opened, bringing a gust of cold air and the sound of reluctant footsteps. My family entered like they were walking into a courtroom, not a celebration they'd planned, and I'd funded. Elliot. Mom's voice was carefully controlled, the tone she used when trying to manage family conflict. You look good, honey. Thanks, Mom. You look tired. Long drive. Dad stepped forward, his expression serious. Son, we need to talk about this situation. This has gotten out of hand. I agree, Dad. Why don't we sit down? The appetizers are ready, and I'm sure you're all hungry. I gestured toward the main hall, where their perfect Christmas celebration waited. The family followed me reluctantly, taking in the elegant setup, the professional photography equipment, the jazz quartet playing their requested holiday music. Elliot, Madison said quietly. This is beautiful. It's exactly what you ordered, Madison. Every detail you specified when you called pretending to be my assistant. Sarah spoke for the first time. Elliot, I need you to know that I didn't ask for any of this. When Madison invited me to Christmas, I thought you were okay with it. I turned to face my ex-wife, this woman I'd loved for years, who was now apparently my sister's business partner and my replacement at family gatherings. Sarah, what did Madison tell you about my involvement in today's plans? She said you'd decided to spend Christmas alone, that you needed space to work through the divorce emotions. She made it sound like you were choosing solitude for healing. And you believed that I'd choose to miss Christmas with my family. Sarah's expression shifted as she recognized the manipulation. Elliot, I'm starting to realize that none of us got the whole truth about today. Marcus stepped forward, his defensive posture intact. Elliot, look, the situation got complicated. Maybe we didn't handle it perfectly, but you're making this into some huge betrayal when it was just a misunderstanding. Marcus, show me your phone. What? Show me your phone. Pull up your text messages with Madison from the past 3 weeks. Elliot, I'm not going to... Because if this was just a misunderstanding, your texts will show genuine confusion about plans changing. But if this was a coordinated deception, your texts will show you all planning my exclusion while discussing the details of the celebration you're now attending. Marcus's face flushed red. You don't have the right to go through my private messages. You're absolutely right. Just like you didn't have the right to go through my credit card information to book this event. Kevin appeared beside me, holding a leather portfolio. Mr. Collins, you asked me to document the booking timeline and vendor communications. Everything is organized chronologically. I opened the portfolio, revealing printed emails, phone logs, and payment confirmations that told the complete story of my family's deception. Let me share some interesting facts about your misunderstanding, I said, reading from the documents. 3 weeks ago, Madison called the lodge pretending to be my assistant and booked this event using my stolen credit card information. 2 weeks ago, she called the caterer to add gluten-free options for Sarah and bourbon glazing specifically requested by Marcus. Last week, she coordinated with the photographer for couple shots and business announcement photos. I looked up at my family, who were standing frozen around the elegant table they'd planned. This was never a misunderstanding. This was a calculated plan to exclude me from Christmas while using my money to celebrate milestones you didn't want to share with me. Mom sat down heavily in one of the chairs. Elliot, we need to explain. I'm sure you do, Mom. But first, let's enjoy the celebration Madison planned. David, are you ready for family photos? The photographer stepped forward with professional enthusiasm. Absolutely. Should we start with the couple shots for Marcus and Jennifer? Tumatsento tikram. Marcus looked like he'd been struck by lightning. How did you— Jennifer, congratulations on your engagement, I said, turning to Marcus's girlfriend. I wish someone had told me about it so I could have celebrated with you. Jennifer's face went pale. Elliot, we were going to tell everyone tonight. Marcus wanted it to be a surprise announcement at Christmas dinner. It still can be. Marcus, why don't you propose again? We have professional photography, perfect lighting, and an audience of family members. Do it exactly like you planned, just with me here to witness it. The silence in the room was deafening. Marcus stared at me, then at the ring box he'd apparently been carrying, then at Jennifer, who was beginning to understand that their special moment had been orchestrated around excluding his brother. Elliot, Madison said softly, we never wanted to hurt you. Then why did you do it, Madison? Why did you forge my signature, steal my money, lie to my face, and plan a celebration specifically designed to exclude me? Because— She stopped struggling with words. Because everything's been about you since the divorce. Every family gathering turns into Elliot therapy time. Every conversation becomes about your feelings and your struggles and how we all need to support you through this difficult time. The brutal honesty hit like a physical blow. We wanted one family celebration that wasn't about managing your emotions or walking on eggshells around your divorce trauma. We wanted to celebrate good news without worrying about triggering your depression or making you feel bad about Sarah moving on with her life. Mom made a sound of protest, but Madison continued. And yes, I took your credit card information, and yes, I booked this under your name. But the plan was always to pay you back. We thought you'd spend Christmas alone, never know about the celebration, and we'd gradually reimburse you through fake business expenses or gifts. So the crime was acceptable as long as I never discovered it. It wasn't supposed to be a crime, Elliot. It was supposed to be a family celebration that didn't revolve around your problems for once. The words hung in the mountain air like a toxic cloud. My family stood around the elegant table surrounded by the perfect celebration they'd planned, finally forced to confront the truth of what they'd done and why they'd done it. But I wasn't the same Elliot who'd driven away from Kansas City 24 hours ago. The broken, divorce-devastated man they'd pitied and manipulated was gone, replaced by someone who understood his worth and wouldn't accept their casual cruelty anymore. Well, I said, raising the glass of premium whiskey they'd ordered, let's celebrate family honesty. Madison, you wanted a family gathering that wasn't about my problems. Congratulations. Tonight's celebration is going to be about your problems instead. I set my whiskey glass on the table and looked at each family member individually. Mom sitting with her hands folded, finally understanding the scope of what had happened. Dad standing behind her chair, his expression shifting from anger to shame. Marcus still holding Jennifer's hand, but no longer looking like the confident brother who'd dismissed my feelings 12 hours ago. Madison tears starting to form as the reality of her actions became undeniable. Sarah standing apart from the family group, recognizing her role in the pain she'd helped create. Before we start our Christmas celebration, I said, I want everyone to understand what's going to happen tonight. We're going to proceed with exactly the event Madison planned. Marcus, you're going to propose to Jennifer with all the romantic elements you coordinated. Madison and Sarah, you're going to announce your business partnership with the professional photography you requested. We're going to eat the 7-course dinner you ordered, listen to the jazz band you hired, and stay overnight in the luxury suites you booked. Jennifer spoke hesitantly. Elliot, maybe this isn't the right time for announcements. The family needs to work through what happened. Jennifer, you're going to be part of this family soon. This is exactly the right time for you to understand how we work through problems. We don't run away from consequences. We face them together. I walked to the head of the table, the spot traditionally reserved for Dad during family gatherings, and remained standing. Madison, you're right that family gatherings have been difficult since my divorce. You're right that I've been depressed and struggling with my sense of worth. You're right that my emotional state has affected family dynamics. Madison nodded, hope flickering in her eyes that I was validating her perspective. But you're wrong about the solution. Instead of excluding me and stealing from me, you could have talked to me. Instead of replacing me with Sarah, you could have helped me heal. Instead of planning celebrations without me, you could have found ways to include me in your happiness. I picked up the leather portfolio Kevin had prepared. This documentation shows that you spent weeks planning my exclusion while coordinating my financial exploitation. You created elaborate lies to manipulate my emotions. You forged my signature and committed credit card fraud. You replaced me at Christmas with the woman who divorced me. And when I discovered your deception, your first instinct was to try to cancel the event rather than face the consequences. Dad cleared his throat. Son, we understand you're angry. Dad, I'm not angry anymore. I'm clear. Clear about my worth. Clear about what I will and won't accept from people who claim to love me, and clear about how this family needs to change if we're going to have healthy relationships moving forward. I gestured to David Chen, who had been discreetly documenting this conversation. David, please take family photos now. I want professional documentation of this moment, when the Collins family learned that love requires honesty, respect requires boundaries, and family requires accountability. As David positioned his equipment, I continued addressing my family. Marcus, after photos, you're going to propose to Jennifer. You're going to do it with the enthusiasm and joy you planned, because her love deserves celebration, regardless of family drama. But you're also going to apologize to her for involving her in deception, and for planning your engagement announcement around excluding your brother. Marcus nodded slowly, his defensive posture finally cracking. Madison, you're going to announce your business partnership with Sarah. You're going to share your excitement about this new venture, because achievement deserves recognition. But you're also going to explain to the family how you funded tonight's celebration and what you plan to do about making restitution. Madison was crying openly now, but she nodded. Sarah, you're going to participate in this celebration because Madison invited you and because you're part of her announcement. But after tonight, your social connection to the Collins family ends. You can maintain your business relationship with Madison, but family gatherings are for family members and their chosen partners, not for ex-spouses who contribute to family manipulation. Sarah's expression was unreadable, but she nodded as well. Mom and Dad, you're going to witness these announcements and celebrations with joy because your children are achieving good things. But you're also going to think seriously about how you allowed deception and financial fraud to happen in your family, and what changes you need to make to prevent it from happening again. The photography session proceeded with surreal formality. David captured family portraits that showed the complex emotions of the evening, love mixed with shame, celebration, tempered by accountability, joy shadowed by consequence. When Marcus proposed to Jennifer for the second time that day, she said yes, with tears of genuine happiness, and the family applauded with real enthusiasm despite the circumstances. Madison's business announcement was heartfelt and exciting, her art consultation company representing years of creative development and entrepreneurial courage. Even through the emotional turmoil of the evening, we celebrated her achievement with authentic pride. The dinner was extraordinary, every course crafted to perfection by Maria's team. The jazz quartet played beautiful background music while we ate and talked, gradually transitioning from confrontation to conversation, from crisis to connection. Around 11 p.m., as we finished the imported chocolate desserts Madison had ordered, Dad spoke for the first time in hours. Elliot, I owe you an apology. Not just for tonight, but for not recognizing how we've been treating you since the divorce. We thought we were helping you heal, but we were actually making you feel like a burden. Dad, I accept your apology, but I need you to understand that this can't happen again. I won't be manipulated, excluded, or financially exploited by people who claim to love me. If my emotional state is difficult for family gatherings, we address it directly. We don't solve it through deception. Mom reached across the table to take my hand. Honey, we love you so much. We never wanted you to feel disposable. Mom, I love you too. All of you. But love without respect isn't healthy for anyone. Tonight showed us that our family dynamics need to change. As the evening wound down and family members retreated to their luxury suites, Madison approached me privately. Elliot, I'll pay back every penny. It might take time, but I'll make this right financially. Madison, the money matters, but what matters more is that you understand why this was so devastating. You didn't just steal from me. You excluded me from the family I've prioritized my entire life, then replaced me with the woman who already made me feel worthless. I know, I see that now, I'm so sorry. Madison, I forgive you. But forgiveness doesn't mean accepting the same treatment in the future. It means loving you enough to hold you accountable for being better. The next morning, Christmas Day, continued with breakfast together and gift exchanges we'd missed the day before. The atmosphere was different, more careful, but also more honest. Family members asked direct questions instead of making assumptions. They acknowledged feelings instead of dismissing them. They took responsibility for their actions instead of minimizing consequences. As we prepared to check out and return to Kansas, Jennifer pulled me aside. Elliot, thank you for letting Marcus propose last night despite everything. It could have been a disaster, but you made it beautiful. Jennifer, welcome to the Collins family. We're complicated, but we're learning to be better. The drive home was peaceful in a way I hadn't experienced in months. My phone showed $17,000 in charges I was still responsible for. But I also had documentation of fraud and a family that understood the consequences of their actions. More importantly, I had a clear sense of my own worth and boundaries that would protect me from future manipulation. 3 months later, Madison had repaid half the money and established a formal payment plan for the remainder. Marcus and Jennifer's wedding planning included me as a full participant, and their engagement party was funded by their own resources with transparent guest lists. Sarah maintained her business relationship with Madison, but respected the boundary I'd established around family social events. Most importantly, family gatherings became opportunities for honest communication rather than emotional management. When problems arose, we addressed them directly. When celebrations happened, everyone was included or given clear explanations for specific limitations. The lesson that emerged from that Christmas in Colorado was profound. But simple love requires truth. Family requires respect. And healthy relationships require boundaries. People who truly care about you will honor your worth even when it's inconvenient for them. And sometimes the people who hurt you most are the ones who need the clearest demonstration of consequences and the strongest commitment to change. I learned that protecting yourself from manipulation isn't selfish, it's necessary for authentic relationships. I learned that forgiveness doesn't require accepting repeated harmful behavior. And I learned that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for family is refuse to enable their worst impulses while holding space for their growth. That Christmas taught me that I deserve to be included in the joy I help create, respected for the support I provide, and treated with honesty by the people who claim to love me. It wasn't the Christmas I'd planned, but it became the Christmas that changed everything. The Collins family is stronger now, built on truth, instead of manipulation, respect, instead of exploitation, and love that honors everyone's dignity rather than sacrificing some people's worth for others' comfort. And that's a gift that keeps giving long after the mountain snow has melted and the last of the $17,000 has been repaid. I want to hear from you about this story. Have you ever had to set boundaries with family members who took your love for granted? How do you balance forgiveness with protecting yourself from repeated harmful behavior? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, please hit the like button to help others find it. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories about family dynamics, personal growth, and finding your worth in challenging relationships. And please share this with someone who might need to hear that they deserve better treatment from the people who claim to love them. Thank you for listening. And remember that loving yourself enough to demand respect isn't selfish. It's necessary. Wishing you all authentic connections built on truth, respect, and genuine care.